I want to add, since you're a male, can you just talk to the men out there?
Fellas, listen, put your ego aside because at the end of the day, you want your family to change. You want to change your family tree. You want your family to win. You want to create opportunities for your wife and your kids and for yourself. And I want to see people live long, full lives and not be so stressed or so focused on just the day to day, the 9 to 5. It's like, look, there's so many more ways to win.
Welcome. This is For Better and Worth,
the podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Erica Young, and we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all, let's get into it.
How are you, babe?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. I am good. I feel great on this morning. This morning I got some rest. You know me, I'm always like, when I get some rest.
I know. I feel like every episode we're talking about we started.
This is my love affair right now, is getting good rest. Like right. It is my life, okay?
I feel like, remember the show that was out, This Is Us?
Yes, favorite.
People love that show. I'm like, this is us.
Yes, it is.
This is us. This is our life.
It is.
I know this is our life we're sharing.
But talking about getting rest is our life, literally.
Yeah,
but,
it's so funny, but
anyway.
But I think this is this is an interesting topic because sometimes, you have to ask yourself the question, have you ever thought, you got it all figured out and you only to realize you didn't?
Yeah.
Because people think that they know everything and they don't need any help.
Yeah.
With things, and more and more I'm realizing I need help with a lot of stuff.
I appreciate you saying that because we don't know it all. So
now let's be clear. I know a lot about a lot of things.
You know a little about almost everything. And you know a lot about several things.
When you put all that together, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
About a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but not everything.
I mean, just shy of everything.
Just a smidge less.
I still have to rely on the Lord to give me insight.
Thank God for that. So thank God for that.
But no, I don't know everything, and I do think I know a little about a lot of stuff. And
I admittedly feel like I know I go deep on a handful of things, and I let the rest of it go away.
Right. You come ask me about the rest of it.
Exactly. I don't take up brain space to know a little bit about everything. I don't do that. But I had someone come to me for potential coaching, which I don't typically do a lot of coaching anymore, but for referrals or people I know, I might jump in. We'll have a conversation, see if it's a fit, right? So someone was asking me some questions about coaching and all of that. And ultimately, they decided that one of them was on board and the other one was not, and that they
And this is a couple in a relationship.
Yes, and that they would not move forward with coaching. And honestly, I was only disappointed because I was thinking about what they could potentially miss out on in improvements in their finances based on our conversation. And in that particular relationship, the two of them did not fully see eye to eye on how to get something done.
Every time. If you don't see eye to eye,
it does.
It creates tension and problems.
And so if they weren't going to really work on it effectively and intentionally, the first thing that I thought of was, in 12 months, how much progress are they likely to make on their own in this area, given what I know and what I have seen, versus them doing it on their own or with me, right? And so that was my thing. And based on our conversation, this is not based in theory, this is based on our conversation, pride came into play because they didn't want to share, or I should say one party didn't want to share all of their financial information with me. And it made them nervous, afraid, and concerned, and potentially embarrassed. And I understand those things, but I also understand that getting vulnerable with your finances can produce a lot.
Had they known you don't take a lot of individual clients, they might have been like, hold on, let's get her while we can.
Well,
because that would change. That might have changed the thought. But as you're talking about that, it makes me think like, and I don't know, I got to just go there. Was it the male or the female that was resistant? You don't have to tell me, because I'm just gonna make the inference that it was the man that was like, nah, I'm good.
You right.
I don't need you.
You right.
Telling me how to manage my money or run my relationship. I'm just putting the male perspective on, because that's how men typically would be like.
And you are correct.
Yeah, and I'm gonna speak now because I am a man, and I am in a long-term relationship.
Yes.
I value the input that you bring and that you provide, and we discuss and talk a lot of stuff out amongst ourselves, probably to ad nauseum, because it's like that horse is dead. It is, decaying, and we still talking about it like
you right.
We didn't figure it out. Okay,
yeah.
The horse is dead. But I think a lot of men, they do have that pride, because they do want to feel like, a lot of men have that provider mentality. And so they're always like, I got to go out, I got to make these decisions, and we can figure it out, and I don't need outside help. But I know we recently, some months back, went and saw a financial planner. Like, we have planners, and we talk about this stuff all the time, but this was a different person. We were going to talk about some specific things because we're trying to change some strategies as it relates to retirement and investing. And we don't have all the answers. We still have to do research and find things out. And going and talking to that person and having our whole financial life on one whiteboard and seeing the big picture, I learned some things that informed some of the decisions that I wanted to make.
It was very eye-opening.
Right. And I was like, man, I'd never done it quite that way. And had I been opposed to doing that, I would not have gained the insights that I gained, which now I've got friends coming asking me about what I learned in that session. So I don't know. The Bible says pride comes before a fall. So I choose to put my pride aside a lot of the times.
Well, and I think that is important. The biggest distinction here is when you actually have to share your own honest numbers. And there is something very vulnerable about that when you're talking to someone else. So I don't recommend that you do this with your best friend.
Not Joe Blow.
Or someone who doesn't have true professional or knowledgeable information behind it, right? We are not just going to share numbers for the sake of sharing numbers. We want to be very intentional with who you do that with.
You're not in the restaurant, like on a napkin, like, okay, well, tell me this. And
No.
That's not the kind of conversation we're talking about.
Or someone who literally, their interest in you sharing numbers is so that they can benefit in some way.
They know how to extract from you what they're looking to get.
So that's the other part of this. But I can understand a reservation, and typically what I find is that the reservation comes because of embarrassment or some shame, or they wish that they were further along. And so when you share numbers that prove that you are not where you want and or should be, quote unquote, should, because everybody's situation is different, then they want to hold that information to themselves. And I think that the challenge and you mentioned it, is just that this is pride, right? That is coming in the way of you getting where you need to be financially. And so my hope is that we humble ourselves and we find the right people to share this information with, who can really help you get where you need to be. So, and whatever that is.
I think it's crazy that we can all allow shame to get us away from either course correcting or making progress in areas, because no matter where people are or what the situation is, it doesn't all happen overnight. You didn't get there overnight, and you're not going to get out of a situation overnight if you're not where you think you want to be.
So did you feel any shame when we had over $90,000 in debt that we got out of in our first 5 years of marriage. So were you ashamed of that?
I remember I wasn't necessarily ashamed of that. And I'm gonna come back to that. But I remember when we were first, when we decided that we probably wanted to get married, and we went and we sought like counseling.
Yeah.
Like we went to marriage counseling, and
Right.
they had us exchange our credit reports. And I know you talked about how you felt, a lot more shame about that. And I mean, I felt like some embarrassment, like, dang man, I allowed myself to get these credit cards. I wasn't responsible.
Yeah.
I was paying them, but I was paying them kind of like haphazardly. I forgot to pay it, or, or I was putting a priority on something else. And so when I had to show you my credit report, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It was like really just average.
So just imagine if, let's fast forward that feeling, if nothing was done, and fast forward 20 years.
If it was the same 20 years later, I think I'd be even more embarrassed.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
Be like, man, I was young. I was 20 something then. If I was 40 something now, like, well, dang, I should have made progress. But you can only make progress when you start to change your behavior.
Exactly.
And the way you change your behavior is to look at what you're doing and then start to do something different. And so, when you talk about the 90,000 in debt, I think some of it for me was a necessity, right? Part of it was a big portion of our debt was college debt. And I made a decision that no matter what, I was going to go to college. And I incurred some student loans, and I wasn't as ashamed of it because after my freshman year of college, I worked in a factory
You were hustling.
to pay my tuition down.
You were hustling.
And so if I had to take some loan, I was like, well, this is what I got to do to bridge the gap. But I was not a slouch. I worked all summer. And the next summer, I worked in a lumber yard. And then I went to school my last 2.5 years working full time and going to school full time. So for me, I felt like if I had to incur some loans, it was what it was because I was trying to do the best that I could.
Yeah.
Now, had I been just taking, loan money and eating it and spending it on stuff, I might have felt differently. But I was like, what's the minimum I need to take to close the gap?
You were being responsible with them, and a lot of students are not responsible.
Yes. And I think that even at that early age, like I had made some decisions in my life like that somebody typically in their late teens, early 20s don't always make.
Did people teach you that? Did somebody teach you that?
You know what? My mother taught me hard work, and she taught me how to really just hustle. And I think it was the mentality I got from my mom because I saw her, though she didn't make a whole lot of money, and I saw her go get her associate's degree from a community college because that helped her get a better job.
Right.
And so she might not have a bachelor's degree and she might not have made a ton of money. She was a hard worker. She got up, she went to work every day. She worked for the government for 30 some odd years before she retired. And that just taught me a work ethic that, look, things might not be perfect, but you still gotta hustle. You still gotta, try and find a way. And she found ways to make things work. And so she didn't know all the nuances around, all she knew was I'm putting a little money into my thrift savings.
Yeah.
And she couldn't tell me about 401ks and insurance and taxes and all of this, but she taught me something I thought that was more valuable. And it was the value of work and hustle and reward. And that just translated into other areas of my life.
So it's interesting because both of our moms were single parents, and my mother didn't, I'll be very honest, like she taught me how to hustle. Like she definitely had a hard work ethic for sure, very good work ethic. And I saw her graduate both with her bachelor's when I was young, and then also with her master's degree on the same day that you got your bachelor's degree. Y'all both graduated from the same university the same day with 2 different degrees. Amazing. But I did not learn boundaries necessarily around money. And my mother is still very private to this day around her finances.
Yes,
I've witnessed a lot in her journey, and she's grown a lot, and she's, in a healthy place financially speaking, but she doesn't like to talk about it even to this day. And so I didn't learn.
That's so interesting that
I didn't learn how to talk about money with her.
She's 79 years old and still kind of like.
Yeah.
Like over here.
She does not want people to know what's going on.
What are you looking at?
Yeah. Or if you ask questions, she's just kind of like, I don't want to talk about it.
She get a little cagey sometimes.
She does. And so I can understand that people have that challenge. And it is a language that you and I have built. So I say that because it wasn't something I learned from my mother, and definitely not from my father. And so you and I have built that.
I talk to strangers about money. I started giving people free advice. Like, what you doing? What's going on?
But you weren't doing that 20 years ago. Like, I think that was a growth. Like, when you began to understand and learn stuff. The flip side of this, so if we're not feeling the shame, there could be this pride that comes from, I can do better all by myself. No one can do it better than me. Or I'm doing all that I can do. I've achieved all of it. No one can tell me something I don't know. That kind of a haughty attitude, if you will, or thinking you know everything is a challenge as well, because what it means is you believe that for the rest of your days here on earth, that no one can teach you anything about this particular subject. And that is not being open. And that's I think, no matter how we slice it, shame or pride, haughtiness, whatever, I believe that it is causing you to miss out on financial opportunities for improvement and or opportunities for new business ideas or opportunities to make more money, whatever it is. I do believe with everything in me that this particular subject, if you close yourself off, you're missing out and leaving dollars on the table.
You just said something that made me start to think. You said I wasn't doing my pro bono financial advising 20 years ago.
Correct. You weren't. I wasn't. But you were probably teaching people how to get out of debt. We learned.
I was teaching other things. Mm-hmm. But you know what? As you were talking, I was like, man, why would someone allow pride or shame or embarrassment or whatever to be the obstacle to keep them from having success? Mm-hmm. Because it's my zeal or my enthusiasm around how people can win that forces me to really get into conversations with people. Because I'm like, and it doesn't start with me just telling them, hey, do this, do this, do this. Because I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
It's literally me asking a series of questions. And I tell people all the time, because they'll ask me things and I'll be like, okay, now we want to get in this discussion because I have questions.
Listen, you ready?
I have questions.
Right.
And it literally is me asking a series of questions of people. Because when you ask people questions, it forces them to think and self-examine. Mm-hmm. Because then they're like, oh. And it's not me telling them anything. It's just, hey, well, what's this? Or what's that? Or how do you do this? Or because then they have to start thinking about what is my behavior?
Yeah.
What is my process? What is my mentality? Or what is my attitude? And then when they give me answers, it's like, oh, okay. And then it's like, it puts them on alert. Like, wait a minute. Well, why you respond like that? Or, well, why did you say that? Because then it opens the door to say, hey, here's some things that I've learned.
Right.
Over the course of 25 years. And here's what I learned 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Here's what I learned 2 months ago that can help. Because I just love to see people
win. That's it.
And it's like when you can win and you create options for yourself, it opens up a whole new like just gamut of things that are available. Like I'm just getting excited about it right now.
I know.
Like when you, like I've got a buddy who, he really wants to retire early. And he's trying to find every way to retire early, to do whatever it is he want to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, you know, and I want to see him win, you know, and like, but he is so adamant about finding ways to, one, create income, you know, be a dividend income or passive income, whatever it is. So he can go and do what he wants. And I'm like, I'm excited for you to see you go off and do whatever it is you want to do and live how you want to live. But he's actively finding ways to do that.
Yeah. I think that it also reduces stress. When you don't hold everything yourself and you share with someone else, you inquire, you ask questions, you understand that someone else has new insight, potential knowledge, or resources that you might not have, it allows you to unburden yourself. And when you and I talk about stuff, there have been times in our financial journey where we talk about it, we get whatever it is off our chest or the idea that we have or whatever, and we just bounce ideas off of one another. I've done that with business with you because technically on my business side, the big picture, like you're not involved in that side that doesn't have to do with the podcast, but I will ask you questions. Like I'll be like, can I come to your office and ask you a couple things? And you're like, all right, you ready? If I share the scenario and you say, okay, you might ask, do you want advice or do you want me to just listen, right? And
that comes with years of training because I used to just go into
fix mode.
Go into
fix
MBA,
mode.
you know, look, let me just tell you, this is what you need to do, blah, 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 blah.
But it matters to me that we can collaborate on it, that I can get some other ideas, or if I need a coach or a mentor or somebody who's further along in business. Where it concerns the podcast, we've asked other podcasters for other information or their setup and things like that.
It's interesting about that.
It's less stress.
It's interesting about that, though, that you talk about podcasters, because in the podcast community, we share things so openly, like all back and forth. Like
all the time.
We have people like, let me phone a friend, you know, let me do my street shout out. Like, and people ask us things and we like, oh yeah, do such and such.
And so why would we live in a vacuum?
Yes.
You know, why would we allow ourselves to stay in this stagnant place or frustrated with something when other people have other ideas,
right?
And they can help us get unstuck, right? If we're stuck and we're only in our little silo, we don't know that there are other possibilities until we go ask somebody. And so I think in our finances, if we see it that way, we can like unclog the drain, like and let all the money flow in.
Would you rather just be stuck where you at? Because like if you keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna get what you've been getting.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and if you're embarrassed and you don't want to share, it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do differently? Nothing? Okay, well, you're gonna get much of what you've been getting now.
The other thing is you can save time. Like if we can get somewhere faster because we sideswipe some of the pitfalls that other people have gone through because we talked to them and learned, or if someone knows a better way, like we love to track our money and that's an easy way for someone to like get insights about their own spending. But if we had never said that on the podcast, then you might not know. Or going to a financial professional of any kind, insurance, they can save you money. If you talk to someone who's a broker for many different companies, if you go to a financial advisor, they can show you how to evaluate certain, you know, mixes of a portfolio or mutual funds or whatever. They do this for a living. Why do you think you can learn all this stuff in 2 minutes by doing some research when somebody could just tell you the answer?
You know, we go see our financial planners and we talk to advisors and I ask the same question. So, you know, having taken a comprehensive look at our financial picture overall, how do we rank, you know, amongst others? And it's a loaded question. I know we're on track, we're doing our thing, but they have the N or the sample size they have is so much larger. Our sample size is us.
Yes.
And so when I think about like, especially someone who's trying to engage you for coaching, you like coach thousands of people. And it's like, okay, your situation is your situation, but I've seen 500 situations like yours.
Yes.
And so you have insight that they just don't have because the sample size that you've dealt with is so much larger. I think that's what allows me to just step aside and say, look, I don't have it all figured out. I don't know it all because I only have my experience. And sometimes experience is good. Don't get me wrong. But when you are limited just to your experience solely, that's not always great because there's things that you haven't experienced. There's insights you haven't gained. But
so this is interesting because as a coach, I have been through several different training programs.
Yes.
I have mentored under a few different people, but I've also got certifications and letters behind my name. I've done the work, one of which required thousands of hours of active time coaching people to be a part of that designation.
Yes.
And so I've done the reading, the studying, I've taken the exams, I've been mentored in addition to all of the hours that I have put in with what you said, the thousands of people, right? And in that, I still, I know something and I can help lots of people, but I still go get help myself. And so because I believe I'm a lifelong learner and also things evolve and change. There's a lot of things changing in 2026 that wasn't the same in 2025.
I feel like every time we sit down with our CPA, he tells us, he runs us through the new tax laws that are in place.
Tax laws change.
Yeah, and 2026 is this, change from 2025. And I'm like, dang, okay.
Yeah, and then also how much you can contribute to your 401k changes almost on an annual basis. And so when we think about
the government is always making new administrative changes that impact all of us.
They
and
are.
If we don't pay attention, you could miss those things.
And the professionals help you see it. They help you see how it affects you. And so
it's funny because that's their job.
It's their job. And so why do we think we don't need them? Period. And so I think if I'm looking at the benefits of putting pride aside and making taking a humble approach to your finances, the benefits far exceed being very closeted and closed off with your finances. I think that most people are missing out, and I don't want people to do that.
Especially if you want to win with money, if you want to get a different outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to just stay in the cycle of being in debt, getting further in debt, get out of debt, go back in debt, you want to be on the hamster wheel, pulling your hair out, shortening your lifespan because you stressed out about it, feel free.
The way you said that is crazy.
Look, I mean, you got to tell people what it really is like.
That's real.
Because people think they can figure it out and they are over here stressing out, blood pressure going up, body responding negatively to all of that negative input. Or you can be like, you know what? I need some help to have somebody help me offload some of this stress or the burden of all of this. And sometimes all you need is an unbiased outside party that won't be looking for anything other than to help steer you in the right direction.
Yeah.
And when you get that, that's worth its weight in gold.
That's perfection. That's perfection.
Wow. So what would you say is, I mean, we could keep talking about this, but what would you say is your make it worth it for this? Like, what would make it worth it for people?
I think that my make it worth it is, I think we're missing out if we don't share. And I think that we're missing out on a healthier outlook and perspective. We're missing out probably dollars on the table, interest that can be gained, opportunities for new business or just ideas that will lift burdens. And so I think that when we hold our money close and hold our numbers close, that, it's not benefiting you. And so I just, if there were one thing I would tell people to do is just consider, is there one question? Like, what is the very first question you might ask someone that you've been holding off due to pride or what someone else will think? And to figure out who it is that you need to ask and take that very next step. I think it's good practice to get used to asking questions, and maybe you have a list of them that you need to ask different people. But right now, we actually have a question that we need to ask our financial advisor. We're not going to make assumptions that we know everything about this particular subject. We're going to ask our financial advisor. And I think making it a habit of knowing that there's always some questions that you're going to have is good. It's good practice.
Good.
What about you?
I'm just thinking about it as you were talking, and
You got hyped there for a minute, like.
I know, because like you were talking, I was like, man, why do people let the things that are not important keep them from getting to the most important things? Like, all I do is win, no matter what. And that's what I want to see for people is like, I want to see people win. So sometimes you just gotta, remove yourself, like put your pride aside, and it's not even like asking for help is not weakness. Asking for help, they say like CEOs, you shouldn't hire, you should hire people that are smarter than you. You should not always be the smartest person in the room, because if you're always the smartest person in the room, how do you learn?
Wow.
Who do you go to?
That's good.
And I always think about that. Like in work environments, you don't have to know it all. You just have to know how to get information.
Yeah.
Process information. And so as I'm thinking about my make it worth it, like just be open. I guess that's how you will get what you need to get, is be open to just the fact that you don't have to know it all. You don't have to figure it all out. There are people who specialize in things that can make your life easier.
And I want to add, since you're male, can you just talk to the men out there?
Fellas, listen, put your ego aside, because at the end of the day, you want your family to change. You want to change your family tree. You want your family to win. You want to create opportunities for your wife and your kids and for yourself. And I want to see people live long, full lives and not be so stressed or so focused on just the day-to-day, the 9 to 5. It's like, look, there's so many more ways to win. And you know what? I think about my brother. And my brother, anybody who knows me knows I have an older brother who's had some challenges in life. But my brother is like one of the lightest hearted people I know.
He is. Always got a smile on his face.
Yeah, and he's had some difficult things to overcome. But he has a job, and it's a very simple job, but he enjoys it immensely. And the company he works for, they take care of their employees, and like he does not overcomplicate things. And I love that about him, is that like he just smiles and keeps it moving.
Yeah.
And he'll take input, he'll take advice, he'll take help. And, he's a strong guy. And I'm like, I respect that when I see that in him. And he's lighthearted and just doesn't take stuff as serious as most men do. So it's like, fellas, I'm telling you, like, just get out of your own way.
That's it. If we'll get out of our own way, that's
we
good.
We can win. We
that's
can win
good.
With money.
Husband.
You can win in relationships, and it may not all be perfect. The ride may not be smooth and seamless. It may be some bumps along the way, but a couple bumps in the road, sometimes you have to go through those to get to that smooth patch of road. And that's what you want to get to, is when the road is smooth.
Yeah.
So
that's good. I love it.
Well, I guess that's that.
Well, until next time.
We're out.
Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support, so be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on forbetterandworth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.